All right. So this is going to be my first test run. We're going to try to go with it. I'll try to do multiple things at the same time. This has always been a challenge, but what do we do with our challenges? We face them and we overcome them. So we're going to learn to multitask here. That includes clicking, dragging, and talking, and trying to maintain a stream of thought and clarity, right? So anyway, I get a piece of information regarding COVID, all right? And this piece of information was released on a LinkedIn profile. How do I know this? Well, the video that was sent to me starts explaining this, and I don't want to take it on its face value. Therefore, I get the name of the guy where the information supposedly came from, and I Google a Mr. Dr. Geert Vanden Bossche, a PhD, DVM. I don't know what that is, but you can read it for yourself. Freelance consultant, vaccine discovery, and preclinical research. So he's a freelance scientist. He is a description of myself, basically. So what we love to do is investigate this person's train of thought. Who are they? What are they promoting? Or who do they work for? As a freelance, I'm automatically interested because there are no emotional binding contracts between. I don't mean to get too into it, but basically you are at free will able to do as you choose, and perceive the world from an independent narrative and mindset as we grow and develop into mature adults, and we learn to dissolve our egos. We begin to see that there are agendas that are just greater than what we ever would think. Okay, and we are at a point right now where we have a lot of government intervention, and this requires the mass persuasion of people. All right, and the techniques used to do that are very evident right now, and I'm not trying to step on anybody's ego, but I'm willing to bet if you're listening to my channel anyway and listening to what I'm saying, you understand what's up, and you're telling me to get on with it, so I will. All right, so this guy posted information regarding warnings about the vaccination, okay? And as of 3 hours ago, he's been active on social media, specifically LinkedIn, where he originally released the document. I haven't even gotten down to it, but this is what it's all about, investigating these things, okay? So I want to get a feel for what this guy's about. So he says, let me get one thing straight. I only take responsibility for the statements and scientific papers that I have published myself. Over the past days, I have noticed these are being recovered without my approval or knowledge by untrustworthy sources with their own agendas or ideologies, both left and right wing, by pro-vaxxers and anti-vaxxers, conspiracy theorists, and uniform and unqualified individuals who are convinced by their own right. I strongly distance, and by the way, he says, by their own right. We have a right of independent thought. I strongly agree, and he strongly distances himself from this and would like to emphasize that what I am trying to convey goes beyond these beliefs and opinions. They are irrelevant to what concerns us as humans. In fact, they are an obstacle. He distances himself from these agendas as these agendas become illusions. They use these identity-driven agendas, these political-driven agendas, when we have human responsibilities to accurately report information by which we can thrust ourselves into the spotlight of living in the moment, conquering the obstacle in the moment so as to improve our probability of success in the future. How was that one? All right, we have that human responsibility to, and that reality has to be founded in truth, not an illusion. In fact, those were my words, not his, but this is what this means. This is how I take it anyway. In fact, they are an obstacle. Above all, I want to safeguard my integrity and insist on absolute independence. The response to my appeal should remain only and purely scientific, and no occasion ever be used or abused by any non-scientific rhetoric. Agreed 100%. What this is in response to, would be the response, probably the what I would seemingly to be believed to be backlash. And we're going to find out as we continue down to the bottom here. All right, so we were talking about the current status of development of COVID-19 finger prick antibody tests. And so the question, does anyone know about the current status of development of COVID-19? Okay, and so we would have comments here, and then what would happen is people are going to leave. Adaptive Biotechnologies has come up with a T-cell test, so now you can read about all of these things, adaptivebiotech.com. See, we move to the bottom here, and we can basically, meanwhile in the UK, putting out fire with gasoline. So you could look at the BMG. Okay, the BMJ, I believe they've been known to have to retract statements or peer-reviewed, or not even peer-reviewed, scientific research articles that could then be propagated by the mainstream media to the mass public for consumption before having to remove this. Don't quote me on this, but the BMJ, I'm quite certain. I do know of a few journals stateside. I'm not going to mention any, but if you follow my channel, you already know. When you have access to these things and you're looking at these things daily, the BMJ. So anyway, COVID booster dose will be needed in autumn to avoid winter surge. All right, so what I am seeing with this, and we're going to get out of here not to come out of the hole too much or expose too much more light down another path. Booster dose will be needed in autumn. So this is like predictive programming. Like this is like we're creating a pathway for this thought that they've just created in your head. Okay, and so you're going to read this article, and then they'll put certain things. Okay, a vaccine, COVID-19 booster vaccine is likely to be rolled out in the autumn to avoid another winter surge. The deputy chair of the government's vaccine advisory committee has told. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I would take the deputy chair of the government's vaccine advisory committee, who was in control of that. What is the name of that person? Who was in control before? Who were they associated with? Where does the money go and come? And where's the laundering? There's always laundering involved. There's always a hidden agenda, folks. That is a huge piece of information right here that you need to immediately look into. You can start to discredit these things immediately. What agenda do these people have? There is always something. If you are in charge of that, if you are in that position, there is a reason why that person is there. This is not paranoia. This needs to be addressed within each person. This is self-reflection, being mindful. Anyway, let's get back to this. All right. So you get the point. We move all the way down. You have people's opinions. Yeah, we get that. But we're going to look at some of these other things. This was an urgent call to the World Health Organization. It's time to switch gears. This was a video that I've not gotten into, but I do know that Twitter deleted it, banned it recently, okay? And you're probably going to get here. So do we want to? No, actually, I don't want to do that. So I'm not sure if that actually played or not. We'll find out. That siren is real. Okay, so anyway, he is going to give a brief explanation of what he's observing. Okay, and I don't know what that is necessarily, but it's been banned from Twitter. That's automatic red flag material. And if you are into questioning things because you understand that things are not as they seem, then these are red flags that we do not ignore. This is intuition. All right, the current COVID-19 pandemics is often compared to the 1918 H1N1 influenza pandemic as we look to deaths per 1,000 persons. Okay. We look here. I'm sure that's lovely. Does anyone know how the current status of development of COVID-19 finger prick antibody test? So we're getting information. So again, we're going to have 11 comments. You're going to have a person down here that comes in with some information. Excuse me, I actually clicked on one of these articles here, and we have a cell and host microbe, robust SARS-2 COVID-2 infection in nasal turbinates after treatment with systemic neutralizing antibodies. So these things, and this was a February of 20, I believe, February 25th, 2021. That's one of the first things you do. Look up the date. We need to make sure it's relevant within 10 years. But even now with this stuff, you want to be looking within the last, like, I would still say 10 years to understand what's going on with like mRNA and mRNA nanotechnology. This stuff is real. All right. This is no conspiracy. You just have to be willing to look into some of these things. All right. And so they're talking about severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2, or the SARS-CoV-2, is characterized by a burst in the upper respiratory portal for high transmittability. To determine human neutralizing antibodies for entry protection, we tested 3 potent HUNABs, we'll say, against live SARS-CoV-2 infections in the golden Syrian hamster model. Okay, so this was a model hamster. A hamster was studied, and they were determining human neutralizing antibodies. Okay, so when air that's contaminated is entering the airways, we have mucus, and they want to determine the human neutralizing antibody response and to the COVID, if that makes sense. This would require reading multiple times, even just the abstract, okay, or what they're calling the summary here, okay? And, also, this has to be understood. They are going to use a lot of information, as you can see here. Very up-to-date information. It's all kind of flexible, meaning it's kind of like all evolving, it's a fluid situation. What they do say on the media and the corporate media about that is accurate. It is a fluid, ever evolving situation. But basically, they're using a lot of new information. So this means that how much of this has been peer reviewed? All right, how much scrutiny has it gone through? Not a lot. All right, we're one of the first. Okay, we're one of the few people to scrutinize this. I mean, many people are, but I'm talking in terms of the overall population. Very few people actually look at these. They take the word for it, and it's very difficult to read these things sometimes. So number one, not peer reviewed, not enough time. So you have to kind of go off the fly, which means you have to read and catch up on some of these. You've got Liu et al. I've actually heard that name. A lot of these I have actually, but you'd have to go back. You have one from 2003. Unlike SARS patients who had peak upper respiratory tract viral loads at day 10 after symptom onset, COVID-19 patients exhibit peak salivary or URT viral loads during the first week after symptom onset that declined over time. Look, I would have to go back right now. I read these articles a lot, but even I get confused. It doesn't matter. We would want to go back to viral loads, okay? Even just viral loads. Let's go take 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes to re-up on some viral loads, because to be honest with you, I'd have to go back and really read a little bit about just basic viral loads, the concepts, and then you want to see what the mainstream would say about these viral loads, the people who the mainstream media have on to talk about these things. All right, where do they guide the conversation? So these are just basic things that you do have to research. And so just anything like this, it would just require a lot of time. All right, what do these tables and graphs and charts mean? Right, so we have a lot of different representations of data. All right. And there is a lot of fluid information, and this is a very lengthy. Look at this information. This is incredible, right? So anyway, you get this really great information going back. Let's go back to the LinkedIn profile. So what I want to do is, this guy, how long ago? When was this? 23 hours ago, okay, who provided additional information on the rapid serologic anti-COVID-19 prick test. I'm still wondering whether there's any report available on the accuracy of these assays and especially the rate of false negative data. And hey, that's data that we need to be updating the public on, and the public doesn't get this data, right? Okay, so, and then we continue down. Over the last week, we have been sharing, this is information being shared here. Let's see. Over the last week, we have been sharing compelling information on how COVID-19 can take advantage of suboptimal S-specific antibodies to evade the host immune system. The virus will only exploit this opportunity when the immune pressure raises to a point where its replication is jeopardized. I would look into immune pressure. What does that mean? What does immune pressure mean? S-specific antibodies. Okay, where does that derive from? Where does that come from? What triggers that response? Right? Is that taking place in like the mucosal membranes? What's going on? The virus will only exploit this opportunity when the immune pressure raises to a point where its replication is jeopardized. All right? You can read the rest. You can go to the rest of it, and I can actually probably send links or post them below. Right? This is what we would do. I'm looking down. Look at this information. This is incredible. I believe that the worsening in vaccinated country was owed to the fact that systemic vaccines did not stimulate immunity in the mucosa, leading to asymptomatic carriers, while the virus keeps being replicated in the nasal mucosa. Next to IgG, immunity in the bloodstream, immunity pressure promotes mutations. There's that immunity pressure promotes mutations and new variants appears. So we're talking about immunity pressure. We're hearing that as a common theme. That's something to think about. While the virus keeps being replicated in the nasal mucosa, so we're talking about nasal mucosa, and we could go to, this would be the article that we brought up, okay? So these are folks who are contributing to the conversation, questions that need to be asked. A lot of follow-ups, really good stuff. U.S. boosts virus. Holy cow, let's try that one more time, all right? U.S. boosts virus sequencing efforts as more variants emerge. All right, now what's he say about this? This is a good one, right? See more, there we go. The good news is that we have an increasing amount of intelligent people, not those who are currently advising our political leaders, who realize the incredible risk of COVID-19's immune escape. Not at least because of mass vaccination, as this professor from Seattle points out. Indeed, you must be crazy to conduct mass vaccination campaign in the midst of a pandemic using a vaccine that's unable to prevent infection. It's totally unprecedented in the history of mankind. So where, for God's sakes, is the scientific rationale making us believe that this experiment is going to have a happy end? Holy shnikes. That's the first time I've read this, okay? So that's an emotional trigger. Now, realize that is an emotional trigger. And so I'm automatically, I like to be mindful, so I recognize it, and I'm going to come at it actually openly. Now it's not going to let me. How about that? Ooh. No, register for free. I don't think so. Do not give these people your information. There are other ways around it. I can find my ways. I've got connection to database. So we'll just call it the database, the bat base. All right. Anyway, let's go back here. So very interesting stuff. Now you can read it, in full here. How about that? Yeah, there's always a way. Medscape, they give it to you for free. Or I was just being a knucklehead. That happens like quarterly and daily. All right, nearly 200 million is being added to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Great. COVID-19 tracking efforts to find new strains of the virus. This is the way I see that when I read that automatically. Knowing the way the world works, doing the research that I've done for the last 5 years, this is what I know and how I'm thinking automatically. The very first sentence. Nearly $200 million is being added to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention COVID-19 tracking efforts to find new strains of the virus. That is a Hegelian dialectic. They're using your virtues that we want to protect ourselves and our loved ones from the virus. We don't want people infected. We want to save lives. All right. That's justice. That's courage. That's courageous. That's being moderate with lives, if you will, which would actually fit into the virtues. In any case, they're pandering to the virtues, and in order to get to that virtuous outcome, we have to come up with ways to control it. This is tracking efforts, all right? But in reality, it's not about finding new strains, like using tracking efforts to find new strains. It's using tracking efforts to gain data and information. This is what they're doing. All right. This will be implemented in the future with our 5G technology. This is not conspiracy theory. This is it's being rolled out, folks. If you don't know what's going on by now, your red flags haven't been raised. I hope they are now. In any case, that's what I'm already thinking of to begin with, right there. Boom. New strains. That's what the excuse. In reality, it is in an effort to control the population. All right. It will control where you go, how you spend your money, how you spend your time, all of your behaviors, to pander to your what you may not realize you need at the moment. You will need, and you'll get an ad at any given moment, triggering you into consumerism. Anyway, I digress, but not really. White House announcement will expand sequencing to about 25,000 positive coronavirus tests weekly, triple the current level. All right, great. So we can read all about these things going down here. All right, they're talking about, as of March 2nd, Texas, which is lifting mask mandates. So again, March 4th, 2021. This is very, very up to date. Okay. New variants and their possible sequences. So they give a lot of information. Leah Starita, PhD, a research assistant professor of genome sciences at University of Washington. We have to be wary of academia. Be wary who are involved with these people, because let me just say, certain people who have been in the news in the last few years that were known to do really, really bad things fund research in specific areas. And this is important because there are agendas at play. So we want to know who this person is. I don't care about your past, like whatever you may have done in the past, like in a civil way. You break somebody's heart, you might have to smack somebody up or something at some point. I don't know why I say that, other than the fact that people do really, really bad things that they get away with. But the moment other people do research and come out with things, their past are brought up. We need to start understanding who we are as people. Like, are you a regular person who came from the concrete? Where did you come from? Who's been funding you? That needs to be understood. So who is this person? That would be a good person to look at. It must be from all sides. It doesn't matter what their perspective is. You have to know. We need to start investigating and understanding who we're dealing with, because a lot of people have agendas that we don't really know about. And you're paid a lot of money. People think that the more money you make, the less the government's going to bother you. No. These are people who are very much not conscious of reality. And they live in this perpetuated world where everything is manufactured consent. Okay. All right, and this is where, to all authorities, scientists. Okay, and here we go. I'm just going to read it because I think this is very important. Or should I? Maybe I should just post the link. How about I just leave it here and you can pause the video and read it? Hopefully, anyway. Maybe. I don't know what the clarity will be. I'm going to leave a link. The publication of which is unfortunately likely to come too late given the ever-increasing threat from rapidly spreading, highly infectious variants. This is why I decided to already post a summary of my findings as well as my keynote speech at the recent vaccine summit. Okay, on LinkedIn. So he gives a speech at the vaccine summit in Ohio. Look for it. Last Monday, he provided an international health organizations, including the WHO, with his analysis of the current pandemic as based on scientifically informed insights in the immune biology of COVID-19. That's a beautiful, that I'm going to use that to describe, okay, based on the analysis of the current pandemic, or with my analysis of the current pandemic is based on scientifically informed insights of the immune biology of COVID-19. So scientifically informed insights. Scientifically informed insights. There it is. There's a new one right there. And you're not blindly using it. You understand what it means. It means that we've conducted our independent research, okay? Free of these energies that have different agendas and free of influence. Free to objectively look at things. And some people would probably say, well, he's not objective, which is why he has to spend a paragraph saying, I am not against vaccination, as you can see here, and clearly stating. Oh, and he says state. We're stating clearly, as stated, I am not against vaccination. On the contrary, I can assure you that each of the current vaccines have been designed, developed, and manufactured by brilliant and competent scientists. However, this type of prophylactic vaccines are completely inappropriate and even highly dangerous when used in mass vaccination campaigns under viral pandemic. And you can read it from there. I'm assuming that this video will not last. So here it is. This is page 1 of 5. You can zoom in. It's incredible. The key question is, why does nobody seem to bother about viral immune escape? Holy shnikes. Page 3, page 4, page 5. I'll leave a link. That's what it's about right there. 5 days ago. 94 comments. Here we go. Max vaccination in a pandemic, benefits versus risks. This is excellent. I will totally be watching these, people. I will totally be watching these on a Friday night, probably a Saturday night, and a Sunday night too. I have a lot of homework to do. But this is it, folks. This is how we do it. This is where the grunt work comes into play. All right, if you have any questions, holler at your boy. Independence, real truth. This is what it's all about. This is actually what it's about. All of the political stuff, all of it. All of the political bullcrap is about this. All of it. Very, very interesting, folks. Keywords. What keywords do we have? Nasal mucosa, IgG immunity in the bloodstream, immunity pressure. Look into these things, folks. Very worth your time. Very much worth your time. God bless everybody. Take care. Be independent. Find that truth.